I'm not saying Epic Games is a scammer. Right, like, listen, every single operating system that looked like Android in the slightest bit has been eaten by Android. I'm not talking about small OSs. Excuse me, do you know why we pulled you over today? Exactly, it's because you're not subscribed. So you better fix that right now, or we're gonna have to take you in! There's a lot of news about Tim Cook, and he has said a bunch of things. I feel like we have to go over them. There's also a bunch of other Apple executives that have been talking about the touchscreen, the notch, a big load of things. Anyways, I think it's time to go into our first subject. I feel like the sound is quite loud, isn't it? Let me see. No, it's fine. Okay, finally, let's go. Apple CEO Tim Cook, we are focused on maintaining privacy. Sorry. Okay. We are focused on maintaining privacy and security of the App Store, which is something that, well, obviously they've been talking about privacy on iOS, privacy on every single Apple device, every single Apple service, because that's their thing, right? I mean, it's just the thing that they differentiate themselves with, and I feel like it works fine. Anyways, let's go. Let's get into the article. Apple CEO Tim Cook was today asked. Isn't it was asked today? Anyway, was today asked about some of the regulatory issues that Apple is facing with the App Store. There's a lot of shit going on. If you look at the EU for one reason is saying that they're doing an antitrust case against Apple, or they're researching one. The US is doing the exact same thing. South Korea had one. Japan had one. I feel like it's going worldwide now. Even Russia. I mean, Russia? Am I the one going wild here, or is Russia the one going wild here? Anyways, and he said that Apple is keeping its focus on privacy and security. I mean, yeah, I flippin' hope so. Apple is facing potential regulatory changes that would force it to open up the iPhone to other stores and alternative ways of loading apps on the iPhone. So, if we want to just forget the privacy argument for a second, right? Because a lot of people could say, well, that is subjective. I don't know if Apple is telling the truth, whatever. Something that you can verify yourself, it's just public information, is that there are only two mobile operating systems on this planet that actually matter. Android and iOS. The main differentiators for iOS and Android are privacy, the fact that iOS is obviously only working on the iPhone, and, well, the fact that you can't sideload on an iPhone, the fact that there is centralized distribution, the fact that it is simple, the fact that there is no fragmentation, the fact that people have... Excuse me. The fact that people have one way of getting through an app, getting to a new feature, getting to... It is all centralized, it's all Apple. And Android obviously is the completely opposite, right? It's an open source system. Especially like the non-Google Android is wild, but we're talking about Google Android here. It's wild, it's crazy. So these three differentiators are basically the only one. So Tim Cook is arguing here that opening up iOS, opening up the iPhone, would mean less privacy. That means you are going to toggle off one differentiator already. Then, by opening up the iPhone, you essentially turn it into a new version of Android, because, well, now you have side loading, now you have a whole bunch of people that are, well, basically going to be able to pose as another app, right? So, you remove differentiator 2. So, what is left? And if there is anything left, is it going to be enough? Right, like, listen, every single operating system that looked like Android in the slightest bit has been eaten by Android. I'm not talking about small OSs. Tim Cook Pog, I can already smell the idiots saying privacy. How about you not scan pictures? Oh yeah, we're going to get into that. Don't worry about that. Anyways, these weren't small OSs, or at least the companies behind these OSs weren't small. Microsoft, which is, by the way, valued as the biggest, most, well, valuable company on this planet right now, above Apple, for some reason, had Windows Mobile, Windows Phone, Windows Phone 7.5, Windows Phone whatever. They have tried. Now they are running Android. Ladies and gentlemen, they are running Android. They caved. And we're not just talking about Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft is a big example. We have smaller examples. Do you see BlackBerry somewhere? The only BlackBerries I still see are running Android. Exactly. Where is BlackBerry OS? It's fucked. Where's Symbian? Where's Nokia? Nokia is literally gone. Like Microsoft bought a part of Nokia, and then they said, well, you know what? we're not going to use this because we can't even maintain an operating system for longer than 2 months. It's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. And the thing that I don't understand about people asking, because you have actual customers, I don't know if they're Android customers or iOS customers, saying that they want this. They want iOS to look like Android. Now, even just objectively, right? Even if we do that, I'm not Apple, I say we, but even if Apple does that, who can guarantee that iOS is still going to exist in a few years? So, let's say you like the image processing, you like the cameras, you like the form factor of the phone, you like a bunch of things. Awesome, but you're just missing out on site loading. You want site loading, you just like everything about the OS apart from site loading. Do you understand that there is a high probability, if you look at the history of operating systems, if you look at the history of huge companies trying to do Android without being Android, that just meant that Android eats you. So, do you understand that you won't have anything? Potentially, at least. Like, obviously nobody can predict anything about that, but potentially you lose every single thing. The processing, the image processing, the layout, whatever you like about iOS that you want to have with side loading, it could potentially be all gone. The reason for that, if you look at history, I just told you all about it, is that it just, like, there is no mobile operating system outside of iOS that has, well, obviously massive differentiators, which these other OSs didn't have, that survived looking like Android. They didn't. The reason for that is because Android is too big. Anyways, I'm repeating myself. Let's listen to someone who actually has a brain. This is a quote. I feel like it's directly from Tim Cook. So, the main thing we are focused on in the App Store is keeping our focus on privacy and security. That's great. I mean, why wouldn't you want that? These are the two major tenets. Oh, this is a good song. That have produced a very trusted environment where customers and developers come together. Consumers can trust the developers, and the apps are here. And the apps are who they say they are. Exactly. It's literally like, I don't know if anyone here used the Android Market or the Play Store or whatever, the Galaxy Store. It's a mess. I'm sorry. Like, obviously, the Play Store has been better lately, but it has been a mess. It's still a mess. It is a flippin' mess. It is literally a flippin' mess. Apart from that, apart from me believing that Google Play Store is a big mess, let's say it isn't. Let's say for you it's actually intuitive. You're used to it. It's fine. If you buy a Galaxy device right now, you have 2 flippin' stores. You have 2 flipping galleries for your photos. You have 2 flipping messaging apps. Before even installing WhatsApp, if you like it. Right? Before even installing Facebook Messenger. Like, everything is double on that phone. The reason for that is because Samsung wants to have their own flipping shit as well. So, like, I don't understand how people would want a similar experience to that on the iPhone. Because for me, it's just one big mess. Anyways, let's go back to the person with a brain again, because I am repeating myself again. Developers get a huge audience to sell their software to. Exactly. Have you noticed the amount of money that has been literally earned on the App Store? Like, the Play Store is doing a very great job as well. I'm not saying that the Play Store is not doing a great job. It's amazing in terms of revenue. But the App Store is on top. Oh, that's sort of number one on our list. Everything else is a distant second. Exactly. What we are doing is working to explain the decisions that we have made that are key to keeping our privacy and security. Not having sideloading and alternative ways on the iPhone, where we are opening up the iPhone to unreviewed apps. That is the key. That is the key. Unreviewed apps. It's literally gonna blow up the entire phone. That's not true. That get by the privacy restrictions we put on the App Store. Literally. Like, you have this app fairness, whatever bullshit, right? Where the coalition that Epic Games is in. They literally have this one sentence. A friend of the show, Jan Willens, he actually pointed this out. They have this one sentence that I can't show it here because it's not dark mode. But you have to believe me or either look it up. They have a document, and in that document there's a line where they say scammers get true app review on the flippin' App Store by posing as a normal app that would pass app review, right? And then change their app later. So they hide some code somewhere, or a code that goes live at a certain time, and they labeled those people as scammers. Now let's look at the situation, right? Unrelated. If any lawyers are looking into this flippin' live stream, any lawyers from Epic, it's unrelated. These are two separate subjects. Let's look at a situation that happened with Epic Games. For some reason, Epic Games chose to, put a hotfix out for Fortnite. And that Fortnite app on the App Store got approved. The hotfix got approved. And sometime later, so weird, I don't know where that came from, there were alternative payment methods in some sort of hidden code, according to some court filings that I have read. Public information. So I'm like, unrelated. I'm looking at that sentence, calling people that do something similar a scammer. I'm not saying anything. That's it. That's literally all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I am not saying these two are connected. I'm not saying Epic Games is a scammer. Cook went on to say that Apple is very focused on discussing privacy and security of the App Store with regulators and legislators. Exactly. Sorry, that was hard, wasn't that? That was loud. Yeah, it was loud. I'm terribly sorry. I don't know if I literally like blew up your speakers or your ears. I'm terribly sorry. Anyways, Apple recently came out largely. Holy shit. Let's do this again. Apple recently came out largely victorious in its antitrust lawsuit. Well, it's not their antitrust. Okay, anyways. With Epic Games. Yeah. It's actually Epic Games lawsuit, but it's fine. With the judge in that case ruling that Apple does not have a monopoly. That's great. I flippin' love that. Apple was, however, told to allow developers to put links to outside websites and alternative payment options to their apps. Now, let's pause. This is potentially problematic. The reason as to why is you can see this in a few ways. So, for example, the way that Tim Sweeney and Epic Games wants to see this is that you will be able to use alternative payment methods and bypass the App Store commission, the one that you signed the contract for. And there is a little paragraph there that says, well, maybe. Not maybe, actually. For sure, the moment you sell something on your app that was downloaded through the App Store, we're gonna ask you for a commission. Well, not asking, because the money is obviously going to Apple first, and then it goes to the developer. So the developer gets, depending on what contract they have, either like minus 15% of that original amount of money, or minus 30%. Depends on how big you are. If you're bigger, you pay more. So let's take the 30%. Epic Games had Fortnite. So every time someone bought a skin, or whatever, Fortnite got a bunch of, Epic Games got a bunch of money. But Apple got 30%. Now, listen to this. Let's say this is how Epic Games wants it to be. Then it would be something similar to, you have an option, like you can buy the skin through the app, or you can go to an outside website, potentially, finish the payment there, and Epic get 100%. That is an option. Now, the option that I was warning about, and I feel like people are not really like processing correctly, is that there is a possibility, and actually as the contract states right now, there is no exception to that 30% commission. And in the court ruling, there was nothing said about adding an exception to payments that were processed outside of the app. So there is a potential problem there, which means that every developer who does this and believes that now 100% is theirs, right? Because this time, obviously, the developer gets 100%, but the contract still states that Apple has a right to that 30%. Now, if they're going to enforce that, if that's something that they can enforce, that's a different story. Just in this court ruling, they haven't said it. They didn't say anything about it. That's what I was warning about a long time, and Tim Sweeney, I don't know, he didn't like that for some reason. The example that I'm talking about is that Apple will eventually ask for that 30% and say, well, you still have to pay us the 30%, and we are going to do audits on your book, right? We're going to come in, we're going to say, well, let's give me a small look at your books, Epic Games. Let's show how many skins. Let's show me how many skins you really sold, right? Which is a normal practice for a huge company like this. Don't worry about it. On top of that, your payment processor that you've used, right? Tim Sweeney was promoting a few of them, or one of them actually, but the other ones were obviously promoting themselves in those tweets, and Tim Sweeney was liking those tweets. So anyways, just saying, you have already paid, let's say, 5% to another payment processor. But Apple doesn't give a fuck. Apple will probably, well, I'm not sure, right? Let's run that back. Apple potentially doesn't give a fuck. If you look at the Unreal Engine license agreement, it's similar. The Unreal license agreement says you have to pay some amount of percentages. I don't know how much it was. But you have to pay a certain percentages of the total amount of revenue that you've got from whatever, the Unreal Engine. So you have to understand that in that contract, in that user agreement from Epic Games, from Unreal Engine is from Epic Games, it states, and it will probably be the same with Apple, I would suspect, potentially, that it is a certain percentage of the 100% of the revenue. So if you spend some money on processing or something else outside of Apple or outside of Epic Games, they do not care. It's a certain percentages of the entire amount, the total amount that you've got. So it will be the same here. Potentially, instead of bypassing the commission, you will get into a situation where you have to pay 5% more than the regular commission. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So that's why I was tweeting about it and spamming a bunch of people that please relax, especially Tim Sweeney, with promoting that people can now bypass App Store fees, because these small developers, people that actually believe and look up to Tim Sweeney and do this and do not do their own research, they could get in real trouble if they do not understand that this is a possible outcome. Yeah, largely victorious with Epic Games. The judge, yeah, ruling, not a monopoly. We've been here, right? Yeah. Apple has given a deadline. Apple was given a deadline in December to make this change, but Apple has appealed for more time and has asked to avoid making changes until the entire case has come to conclusion. Now, this is something that is actually very normal. Asking a stay for big changes like this is very normal, because it will change the App Store forever. And for example, if in a few years they get a Supreme Court, I don't know how far this is going to go, to say, well, no, Epic Games was completely wrong, and the District Court of California was completely wrong as well, then, well, you have changed this to a certain extent where people are used to it, and now you're going to have to reverse it. It's going to be bad for everyone. So I would say a stay is completely normal here, and it would actually potentially save a bunch of people a lot of headache. Anyways, back in June, US lawmakers introduced antitrust legislation that would require Apple to make sweeping changes to the App Store, which Apple will undoubtedly fight against. And rightfully so, right? I mean, literally, there's no reason to listen to people who do not understand how technology works. And these people in politics, oh my flippin' god. Have you ever seen the EU talk about tech? It is absolutely disgusting. And then there is a level below that, and that is US Congress.